We'll go ahead and dive in and get started. I'm Chris Miller. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Alibi Security. And we want to first and foremost thank you for your time. We know in this industry and this time, it's hard to carve out an hour's worth of time for education, but we feel like this is vitally important. So we appreciate you guys joining us today. Today, we're going to talk about how to position and sell Alibi Vigilant solutions. We've been covering a lot of technical information in some of our recent webinars, and this is kind of an adjunct topic to that. You know, what we want to make sure that you guys and gals are set up for success for is in how to position and sell Alibi Vigilant to your customer base. You know, we know a lot of you guys have been selling Alibi witness gear and solutions for a long time, and with a lot of the changes in the industry, the changing landscape of suppliers, you know, we want to make sure you guys are ultra comfortable in how you position and sell Alibi Vigilant solutions to your current customer base, especially knowing that you have a current install base of witness gear out there. And at the end of this, once we get past a lot of the who and what and how, we're also going to dive into some technical aspects with Luis, who's part of our marketing team and is our video content specialist. And he's going to do some walkthroughs on how Vigilant and witness gear integrates together. So we think that's really, really important. First and foremost, I want to make sure everybody knows who's online from Alibi. We've got Norman Ragland, who's our Director of Product Management. We've got Patrick Liggett, who's one of our product managers. Luis Vela, as I mentioned, he's our video content specialist, and then Robbie Thomas is our Director of Sales. And he spends a lot of time talking to our dealer partners on a daily basis, helps them troubleshoot problems, make sure that they're getting the solutions they need when they need it to support their customers. And he's going to have a lot of insight into kind of what he's hearing from our dealer partner base to make sure. Sorry about that, little dog action here. Make sure you guys are comfortable with selling the Vigilant solution. All right, so quick housekeeping, meeting logistics. If you guys ever have any Q&A, please enter that down in the Zoom box, okay? Down in the bottom of your Zoom window, there's a Q&A box. Enter your question down there. We'll try to address a lot of the questions along the way as they come in. If there are any outstanding questions that we haven't addressed, we'll get to those at the end of the session, okay? So with that, I'll hand it over to Robbie, and I want Robbie right now to talk about the things that he's hearing from dealer partners as we're kind of dealing with this new macro environment out there.
Hey, good morning, guys. What I'd like to say first off is thank you for your time. I know your time's valuable, and 30 minutes to an hour in the morning sometimes is really, really hard to carve out, like Chris said. So I just want to say thank you again for that. And then next, as we're thinking about Alibi Vigilant, one of the things that we hear the most is what is Alibi Vigilant and how is it different from Alibi Witness? And in normal circumstances, we probably wouldn't have had two series, but as Chris alluded to with the current governmental environment where it's the NDAA restrictions on 5 or 6 companies and their subsidiaries, or the new upcoming FCC ban on those same companies, it's really turned our industry on its head. For that reason, we carved out an NDAA FCC compliant line within Alibi. So Alibi Vigilant is that compliant line. It is a fully robust line. We started working on this line back in 2019, pre-COVID, because back then all you had was the NDAA regulations coming through, but we had the thought to always mitigate and protect our dealers and your customers with what if. And as a lot of y'all are seeing, there's a lot of companies out there that were not planning for, you know, the what if, and now everybody's scrambling around trying to see what is approved by the government, where the government's going to go, what products to use. So Alibi Vigilant checks all the boxes for NDAA compliant. It checks the boxes for FCC licensing, And it does all of that in a nutshell. And it's a fully robust line, meaning unlike a lot of our competitors that maybe have 10 or 15 items, our Alibi Vigilant goes up and down the stack, and we probably have 130, 140 SKUs that are within the line. It covers from the 4-channel analog or IP all the way up to the 128-channel IP recorder. We have all the different form factors, all the different accessories, the junction boxes, everything to make your transition from whether you're coming from Hike, whether you're coming from DAWA, or whether you're just moving from Alibi Witness to Alibi Vigilant. It should transition, and you should be really at peace knowing that we've thought about every angle we could possibly think about to set y'all up for success. When we drill into Alibi Witness versus Alibi Vigilant, that's probably one of the most commonly asked questions. The top answer I've already kind of answered. Alibi Vigilant is an NDAA FCC compliant line, but some of the differences between the products are a little bit more noticeable. And some of that is in the spec of the build out. So as we've transitioned from Alibi Witness to Alibi Vigilant, and we've taken into account having every form factor and angle of kind of camera you would want, we've taken this opportunity as we wanted to make sure that they were NDAA compliant, that we did improve some things from Witness. For example, we went back to the glass lenses. A lot of people don't really, your end users probably don't care about some of those specs, but we've went to a line that it gives us better quality images at night through better newer chipsets, either Sony or M-Star. We went to better optics, so you got a glass optics, and we've tried to give you more cost-effective options. Probably the biggest question that we've gotten within these cost-effective options is what do you mean, and how is that different from Witness? Well, we have a Flex series. If you see the word Flex series, it may be Starlight or it may not be Starlight. You know, so we have basically two versions, whereas in Alibi Witness, we only have the non-Starlight value. Well, in the Flex, we wanted to bring in some of the Starlights, but it's with the cheaper housing, the less expensive housing. And a lot of times on the Flex series, it'll be a composite housing or a composite steel combination housing to save you on cost, but we would still give you the lower light. This is really good for an indoor application or an outdoor application, but we tried to give you, if you got down in the weeds and you needed to be really cost effective, but we still want to give you and your customer a great image. That's what the Flex series does. If you're used to buying Alibi Witness and you never bought the Alibi Witness value line, you need to stay in the Performance series. The Performance series are the better housings, the better imagers, and chipsets. You're going to see in the Performance series most of the newer analytics that Witness didn't have, the vehicle and pedestrian or human in vehicle detection. Almost all of the Performance series has that. You'll also notice that in our Performance series, we have many more options with audio. We've been listening to our dealers, listening to you. Y'all have been wanting us to add audio to just about everything that we could add audio to, and we've taken that into account, and we put in mics on everything that we could possibly fit them into just for you. We also have the specialty form factors in the Performance line. There will be some slight gap outs. We'll go over the roadmap in a little bit for that, but with the the NDAA ban and them shutting down high silicon semiconductor, which made 60-70% of the specialty chips for our industry, some of those you'll see them kind of gap out and come in a few months. But just so you know, the whole line is fully robust up and down the stack. Even when you go into analog, so if you go into analog, we've got a full analog line. We're also layering in even more analog options this year, just for those people that are doing retrofits or they want to just do analog, we want to be able to check that box. You'll see a lot of our competitors out there that are trying to get NDAA compliant, and they can't answer the analog section. They're really only being able to answer the IP section. So when you think about differentiation of why Alibi Vigilant and why Alibi Security, you need to know that we're going to give you a one-stop shop up and down that Alibi line that's going to check any environmental need that you're going to need. As we kind of move through there, I've mentioned this and kind of covered this on the chart between Alibi Witness and Alibi Vigilant, and try to, kind of simplify it for everybody to kind of see what Vigilant does have over Witness. I think it's really important that, you can see the amount of time and effort we really went into as we developed this line out starting a few years ago and to where it is now, and how we tried to improve it over our Witness counterparts, so that as you moved over into this transition, we don't want any negatives. We want nothing but positives. And we're trying to ensure that you always kind of see that. Mm-hmm. And then Norman Ragland can actually fill in. He's one of our product engineers. He knows more about products than just about anybody I've ever met.
Thanks, Robbie. Yeah, just kind of following up what Robbie stated. Just making sure this is not the first time we've done something like this. So just like how we built our Witness line, improved our Witness line, we took that same feedback and made sure we kind of defaulted that into the Vigilant line. Starlight technology is a big one for us. A lot of our competitors will sell with a lower cost solution, doesn't have Starlight, but just to add Starlight features, it doesn't cost a lot more to add something like that to the product, and you have a huge, difference as far as what you'll see out of the picture quality. Providing your customer with good daytime image is, not good enough. You have to give them something for night, and that's why we kind of cover, we cover the Starlight technology for night, and we added in white light or illuminate technology for IP and HD. But as we go forward, the focus is NDAA compliant for Vigilant. As Robbie stated, we're making it very advanced with analytics. So default, we want to support some type of vehicle or human detection. That's really important for not only recording, but for some type of alert function. If you receive any type of push notification, or if your customer is watching video or have to watch video, this will make it very easy for them to kind of filter through the video and look for only what they're looking for, or only get alerts when there's a human or vehicle detection detected. But overall, we're focusing on making sure we have the latest compression technology, best optics, and as Robbie stated, we kind of position you guys in both places to have a Flex series as well as a Performance series. That way, as you go into into your customer's location, if there's some type of competition bid, you'll be able to offer them camera with Starlight technology, plug and play, maybe with built-in microphones. So just more advanced features than what you see out there from most providers.
Yeah, and I think, Norman, as you and Robbie are talking, and we're comparing Vigilant to Witness, right? And we talk about comparing Vigilant to other solutions in the marketplace, right? Because dealers may go out there and they see similar product. They need to be really, really cognizant of comparing apples to apples, right? With the Witness line, I want to say 75% of our cameras were built with Starlight chipsets, right? And a lot of that was based on dealer feedback, right? The Starlight chipsets were just incredible performing chipsets, gave great images during the day, but also improved, capturing color video at night. This, even though we've got check boxes on both Witness and Vigilant, I think we would all say that the new Starlight chipsets we're using in Vigilant actually surpass the old ones we were using in Witness. So we're actually seeing better nighttime images than we were getting in Witness before. But more importantly, when the dealers are out there looking for camera specs, and you're comparing our Vigilant line against others, make sure your specs are apples to apples, because a lot of the times we're going to err on the side of better chipsets while others are not.
Yeah, and not just that, kind of talking about the optics as well. A lot of the manufacturers will list a really low light rating, and that's using a specialty lens. If you kind of look at their specs, they'll usually list, f1.0 f-stop, but the lens that comes with the camera is maybe a 2.0. So it's kind of contradicting itself. That's the difference, is we're able to use, say a similar Starlight chipset or the newest version with higher end optics, and you'll see the difference. We'll show you guys here in a little bit, but you'll be able to see the difference in picture quality, not only with just improved lighting, but the sharpness of the picture. There's less noise, there's less grain in the picture, less artifacting. So overall, just giving your customer a better picture, just for daytime and nighttime. The thing is, like, once you look at one Starlight, if you don't have, say a Vigilant camera to compare, you'll think that image looks great until you see a comparison. And I know one of the guys mentioned, having some type of comparison demo link to show different resolutions and stuff, and that's something we're working on. But we do have a library of videos and pictures that we have already in-house, and other ones that we're working on that we could provide you guys to share with your customers. Here's an example, just to kind of show you guys, 6 megapixel witness. This is one of our stellar cameras. This is our top selling cameras for like the last couple of years. We improved it to the next generation. When you use that camera, in a daytime or nighttime mode, the picture looks really great. But if you look on the left-hand side, our 2 megapixel flex Starlight, and then we have our 4 megapixel flex Starlight down below. You can see the picture quality just looks so much sharper. More light, less blooming, less artifacting. You can see just even the Ford F-150 over there, just really crisp. You can see the clear coat on the vehicle. It's so sharp.
Look at the sky. Look at the sky in the upper right portion of the 4 megapixel image.
That's correct.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and for these, we're just kind of showing you the infrared nighttime mode. With most of these, if you have enough light, we recommend pushing it to color. You'll be able to see in most applications in color 24/7, just like you see here on the next picture. So here you have a daytime shot, a very sunny day here in Texas, and then kind of around 8:30ish or right, when it gets dark, you're kind of looking at that picture at the bottom right, and it looks like maybe there's enough lighting outside, maybe the sun is still up, but it was pretty much you cannot see if you're standing out there. And I know that the neighbor does have the porch light on, but any ambient light does help this out. But overall, big improvement in picture quality from what we've used even say a year ago to what we're seeing today. As we move on, the human and vehicle detection is a big thing that we talked about earlier. Just making it easier for you as well to set something up. Before you would have to do, maybe a lot of configuration to set something up or to turn something like this on. It's very easy to get something like this set up. And again, the key benefits to human or vehicle detection is just more accurate detection, accurate recording, and accurate alert. And that's really important, especially when if your customers are using our mobile app. We have, we'll talk a little bit more about the app, but we have push notification where the customer can receive a notification based off of a person or vehicle detection. So just a lot of benefits coming from, from this technology. And again, it's pretty much default into most of our line. Just remember, if you guys are used to the witness line, or as Robbie stated, the value versus the pro, just stick with our pro line, and you'll have all the same features that you had on the witness, but more. So it's a lot of benefits for sure.
Go ahead.
And the integration of the human and vehicle detection is really based on dealer feedback, right? It's feedback coming from you guys, from your customers that says, hey, look, we want better technology that reduces false alerts, right? And we want it in more options and more assortment, right? So that's what the product team has gone out to do, is to try to find how we integrate some of those analytics and functionality in a broader range of cameras. And then to Norman's point, with the performance use, you're going to get a more robust analytic set built across the entire line. Go ahead, Robbie.
And what I'd like to add, and what a lot of the dealers miss out on, because this is a newer technology that we didn't see in Witness, and you didn't really even see it in like say Hike or Dawa, is you can set it up to have motion on, and then you turn on the second analytic, the smart analytic, whether it's the human body detection or you're going to get into human or vehicle detection, depending on which VCA analytic you turn on. And then that allows you to have a smarter search, where you may want to catch a hailstorm, for example, but also you want to search for like a delivery driver when you said a package got delivered, or maybe someone stole a catalytic converter. This allows you to do multiple functions, and it allows your end user to spend a lot less time searching for video.
Yeah, and that's the key point is all at the same time. We're able to do multiple analytics, whether it's an intrusion or a line cross, whether it's human or vehicle, compared to previous line or other manufacturers, you're limited to maybe just a handful of models, and those models will maybe only do human or maybe only do vehicle. So you're kind of limited as far as what that camera can do, or the certain application has to be very precise for you to use that camera. With us, going with our performance line, if you want analytics, you can add it. If not, you can not turn it on. But as Robbie stated, you can kind of have best of both worlds, where you have motion recording going on all the time. If you want to catch the squirrel running across the yard, or if you really just want to make sure you filter the human or vehicle, you could do that as well. So just a lot of benefit with this Vigilant line for sure. As Robbie covered the camera side and the record, for HD analog as well as IP, our recorder lineup goes from 4-channel all the way up to 128 channel. We support the latest codecs. We do have long distance PoE built in. This is something that we incorporated into the Witness line. And then we're also supporting that on the Vigilant line. I think the other thing that, we haven't used the word enough for Vigilant is easy. Vigilant is very easy to maintain and use. If you have it set up on the P2P, or if you have a cloud connection set up, there's a one-click firmware upgrading. You could do that at the unit, you could do it through the browser, or you can even do it through your mobile app. So there's many different locations. So your guys can literally go and install the equipment, head out to lunch. As they're doing their lunch, open up their phone, upgrade the cameras on the network, upgrade the recorder, and the system will basically reboot and you're good to go. And that way you're up to date with the latest firmware. And there's no, the old days of let me call tech support. Okay, let me get this file. Let me make sure I zip it or unzip it. Let me put in a certain folder style type. So just really complicated with how we were doing it before, with how a lot of others are doing it. So just making it a lot easier. And then with the UBS storage system, we're able to, offer more storage and improve the efficiencies of it. And I think the other thing that we don't talk enough, but we have an A&R feature as well. So if you have an SD card built into the, or if you have one built or installed into the camera, and say you have some type of network loss, the information can automatically dump back into the system for you. And sometimes when you're watching this happen, as you disconnect it, as you're watching the video, you can kind of see it generate back into your playback field as it's kind of uploading that information back to the recorder. So that way it's a really good fail-safe system. Of course, you got to make sure that your cameras is on some type of backup, make sure they're still providing power, because if your recorder loses power, cameras lose power. So it just depends on how you get connected. But from recorders, we cover, again, multi-channel, and then all the softwares that you need with it.
And Chris, before you go to this next slide, what I'll add is all of our dealers, I've heard a couple of questions over and over. So they'll ask about this long distance PoE, and then they'll ask things like, hey, can I still use, like on the Witness line, we could take our Witness DVRs and use them as an encoder to take an analog camera and bring it into an IP NVR. The Vigilant does the same thing. So you can take the Vigilant DVRs, plug in, say, 4 analog TVI cameras or whatever version of TVI, CVI, or whatever, and then you can manually add them into your NVR and basically have one IP system. Also, with the built-in switch units on the back, you can plug in another switch with, say 3 or 4 IP cameras that you couldn't get home run back, and then that'll separate them down on the VLAN for you. So everything from the Witness side, we've kind of carried over, and we're going to continue to mention stuff like that. And then if you have questions like that, just know that we're already thinking about that. We already have our dealers asking those kind of questions, and we're already incorporate them in there. So there's not a negative. There's only positives when we move over and transition through navigate the current environment.
Yeah, just making it easy for them. That's the key thing, again, as we stated, just the transition, make it easy. And as we kind of do the comparison, plug and play was one of the big things, especially for Witness or Hikvision or the other guys that kind of changed the market with how guys were basically getting introduced into IP. So with Vigilant, we're able to plug and play, not only with Vigilant products, but we're able to do Witness, Hikvision, and pretty much other OnViv protocol type cameras. Luis will kind of show you a demo of how we do it with Vigilant or Witness, but we do have some cool videos that show you how to do that. So, again, for Vigilant, we're supporting 4 channels all the way up to 128. The big key thing again with Vigilant is going to be NDA compliant. We have IP on there, but again, on the HD analog cameras, those are NDA compliant as well. Cloud firmware updates, that's going to be the big thing again. So as long as you have a cloud connection or P2P connection, you'll be able to get firmware updates through your mobile app locally or through the browser or through our tool as well. P2P management via the app, browser, or CMS, as we mentioned earlier. So pretty much you can manage your P2P account, which is really important. So if a lot of you guys, customer forgets your password or you forget the password, if you have it set up with the P2P account, you can actually log in to your device through the account portal and reset that password. So there's, you don't have to call tech support, give them a special code. They generate a temporary password. You have to enter that in a short window. So I'm just making it very easy for you to manage your system or your customer system. And if you're offering any type of RMR, that's really big, for most of you guys, if you're trying to offer any kind of health management or just turning on or off the system for your customers. You're able to do that remotely as well.
Hey, Norman, as we think about cybersecurity, right, and there's a lot of risk to port forwarding and creating vulnerabilities in customers' networks, right? And especially if you're dealing with IT directors, that's always going to be a concern. Mm-hmm. Would you say that with Vigilant, because of the flexibility with P2P, it really eliminates the need to port forward because it is so flexible and easy to use?
Yeah, it just, overall just makes it secured. You're not opening up any ports. It's kind of doing a quick handshake, closing the doors behind that, letting the communication go through. So just more secure than opening ports. And I think DAWA just released 2 vulnerabilities. They just, released, there's 2 known backdoors, I think, within the last week. So even those guys, that tout security, tout this, there's still some holes in those products. So, just overall, just our testing, the partners that we're working with, we do third-party verification. That just, making sure that we secure your system for you. And that way you don't have your customer calling you and saying, hey, there's something going on with my system, or my internet's crashing, or I can't run credit cards. I'm sure most of you guys have heard some of these stories. So just making it just more secure, but not saying that you can't, do port forwarding. We recommend not doing it because it does leave some vulnerabilities. So again, just making it easy and then secure is the key with Vigilant.
And then, I would chime in and not want to gloss over. In Witness, when we did the P2P, you only got your mobile phone. This one, when you do P2P, it opens up everything. So the browser and the CMS and the app are all opened up when you use P2P for remote viewing. So it really does give you a new benefit or more features. So, in Witness, or if you were using Hike or DAWA, because they would limit only on the app, you all too often you'd have to open up ports just because you couldn't get it on the browser or CMS. So just another big call out on top of the cloud updating. When you do the P2P, it allows you to do that cloud updating that Norman's mentioned. Probably the biggest selling point I would talk about, because all too often our dealers will go out, they would set in a box firmwares or too much work to manage. And so when they installed it, the firmware was completely up to date and very secure. You give hackers and you give people enough time, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7 years, vulnerabilities will be discovered. And if you don't update your firmware, you could be having an exposure there. This solves for that. And it puts it in your customer's hands to where they can turn on their app where it'll notify them when there's updates, and they just click the button to go ahead and update it. So it really is a more robust, easy system to use.
For sure. Yeah, just overall, encrypting the stream, and then you still have another layer with, providing your own password to help protect that as well. So just more security. And we're not saying that it's 100%, as Robbie stated, there could be ways where they figure out a way to get in. I think the thing with us is we're very honest. If you've been a customer of ours, you've seen some of the technical bulletins that we've sent out over the years if we did discover any type of vulnerability, and here's the fix. So we'll make sure that it's not one that if we find an issue we keep quiet and then just let it go under the table. It's one we'll make sure that we notify you we address it, we have some type of action or some type of plan to move forward. Cool.
So as we talk about the Vigilant line, I just want to interject before we dive into the roadmap, because I think this is an important slide. Even though we've got a really broad assortment of product that we've kind of launched the line with, the product management team is already looking towards next, right? And when we say looking towards next, there are certain things that we haven't covered off yet in the Vigilant line. For example, license plate cameras. That's something that everybody always asks about. Do you have an NDAA license plate camera? Well, it's on the roadmap, right? And there are a couple other, and again, in being transparent, there are like 3 cameras within the Vigilant line that are not NDAA compliant. They are all in the specialty portion of that line, and the team is already working on how we procure and source NDAA compliant solutions to fill those gaps. But more importantly, know that we're listening to you guys. If there are things that you would want or need for your customer base, and it's not in the Vigilant line, let us know, and we will do our best to put it on the product roadmap. But now Norman will kind of talk about some of the higher visibility, more requested things that we're already covering off within the next 6 months.
Oh, for sure. Thank you, Chris. So HD analog edition, that's going to be a big one. As Robbie stated, a lot of the providers out there, they might only offer IP, so they're not able to offer the full feature product list from their current provider. So HD analog, 2 to 8 megapixel. They support 4-in-1 solutions. So whether you're CVI, TVI, or you just want to use CVBS, we support that. Starlight, Illuminite built in. AOC is a big one that we just added, audio over coax. This will basically have a camera with a built-in mic, send the audio down the coax to the recorder. If you have a Vigilant or Witness recorder, if you notice most of the hybrid recorders, they only have 1 or maybe 4 audio inputs. If you needed more than that, our recorders via AOC can support multi-channel. So if you have 8 channels, support 8 and so on. So audio over coax has been pretty big. And again, full color. So offering white light or Illuminite technology has been big for us as well. And then we'll expand the line with long range bullets, as well as some PTZ and so on. The other feedback is just 6 megapixel for the Vigilant line. We do not have 6 megapixel today like we do on the Witness. For Vigilant, we're 2, 4, 5, and 8 megapixel. Compared on the Witness side, we were 2, 4, 6, and 8. And just from dealer feedback, just from run rate, you guys sold a lot of 6 megapixels. I believe a lot of our dealers offered it as an upgrade to their customers, especially when say a competitor is coming with that 4 megapixel resolution, you could show up with that 6 meg right on top of it. And the price point, Robbie can speak on it, but I believe it was very close, or in most cases, we were able to upgrade you guys for little to no cost. So 6 megapixels is really important. We will have this in our lineup. It will have Starlight feature, dome, bullet, and turret, and we'll have a varifocal versions of that as well. Later on in the year, we'll have our Cloud VS 4 megapixel NDAA compliant lineup. This is our cloud offering camera. Again, fixed solution as well as the zoom, dome, bullet, and turret. Again, Starlight, microphones for certain option. Again, the key thing is NDAA compliant. We also have a hybrid rev for recorders that we're working on. That's coming part of Q1. But down at the bottom, we have some 4 meg, and these are kind of the 4 meg long range IR bullet. This is one that we were that was very popular on the Witness side, that we were able to kind of develop with our current partner that didn't have it in their lineup, same as that 6 meg, and just convincing them with either with data or feedback from customers on why we needed to create it, and that's why we do have that coming in. Some of the cool things coming out is like our some new PTZs. We have a 4 meg 4-inch PTZ. This is going to be a smaller dome style with a wall bracket, or we have ceiling bracket and different type of mounting options. But this will have a 25 times zoom with a Starlight chipset and auto track. I know a lot of you guys have probably heard of auto track or used auto track in the past, and it's usually something that maybe doesn't work 100% or is not as accurate. With this one, we're using human or pedestrian as well as vehicle detection. So that way you have a greater accuracy over tracking, and it's not tracking shadows or light source or bug or something like that. And then the price point will be very competitive. So we feel that will be, a key SKU for us, especially, 4 meg PTZ. That's going to be a little bit compact, but still look like an industrial style PTZ with a 25 times zoom, Starlight chipset, and an auto track built in. So it's going to be a really feature-packed camera for a lot of you guys. And then as soon as we get videos set up and everything, we'll share it. But that's something that's coming towards the end of the year. And then we're also bringing in the 5 meg mini outdoor PTZ. This has basically a red and blue strobe light. This is, more of a compact style, but if you're looking for high resolution, good picture and then some type of deterrent, really good camera for something like that. But again, keep it in mind, it is a pretty compact style camera, so it's not one that you'd want to put in maybe a vandal prone area. And then as we talked about, making sure that we cover cameras like NDAA license plate, fisheye, thermal. We have some Intel-based power NVRs coming out. The chipset issue that happened, there's a lot of things that happened. There's COVID that started at the beginning of 2020. NDAA kind of kicked in. There was a ban on Huawei, ZTE, and others that basically stopped them from producing a certain amount of chips. Basically, all that demand went to one manufacturer. Again, we're still in COVID, increase in demand because everybody's staying at home, just basically caused a global shortage. It takes months. It literally takes 2 months just to make one chip. So literally, it takes a lot of time to make it and a lot of resources, tons of water, tons of energy. And again, about 2 months start to finish to make one. So, as the chips run out, we have to basically everything has to be redesigned. The DSP has to be redesigned. Everything board level has to be redesigned for the new chip. And that's just something that we're working on. And we feel by the end of Q1, we'll have those for you. And we know that's really important. But, right now, I don't believe there's a lot of guys on the market that will have anything. And a lot of guys that do claim, might not, state the truth as far as what's in the product. We've seen that with some of our competitors like Hanwha, where they might have had some NDA compliant recorders and now they don't. So it's just those type of things that we're making sure we check the box for you guys to make sure we're still covering your needs. So whether it's your all-in IP or if you're still in HD analog, we want to make sure we cover the product selection for you guys so that you can pretty much come to one place, have one universal format, and one software as well to go forward with.
It's a great summary, Norman. Thank you for that. And from a dumb marketing guy perspective, what I look at with the Vigilant line is the product team did a phenomenal job kind of preparing for what was coming down the pipe with all these government regulations and some of the challenges that we were inherently going to see with Witness. So to Norman's point, we feel really confident that we have a broader assortment than most people out there. But more importantly, we're looking to what's next, right? And we're already looking to fill some of the gaps that we know we have based on dealer partner feedback and some of the non-compliant products that we currently have, because we want to have a comprehensive line that really checks off all those boxes, so to speak. And then to fill in the gaps on some of those specialty things that we feel like you guys want, even if it's not all the time, like license plate cameras, siren strobes, some of those specialty features and functions that just fill those specialty needs that some of your customers have. So, the bottom line is that the line's awesome, but that doesn't really solve the issues with you guys having a large install base of Witness product out there, right? So what we've heard a lot from dealers, and Robbie can corroborate this, is our dealer partners want to know how do the lines work together? Do they work together? And as we've already mentioned on the recorder comparison chart, you can plug and play Witness cameras onto Vigilant recorders, right? And what we want to get into now is we want Luis to jump in and talk about how we integrate Witness cameras with Vigilant recorders, and then how we integrate Vigilant cameras with Witness recorders. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And while I'm doing this, Robbie, I don't know if you want to jump in and add any color while Luis is getting set up, but this is kind of an important one for everybody that's got an install base out there.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. As everybody's kind of talked about easy and retrofits, this isn't our first rodeo. We've been out since 1989, and we have used a host of manufacturers from the U.S., Mexico, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, mainland China, you name it, parts of the world. And one of the biggest concerns we had was we have a government that is forcing a huge transition for our industry in particular, and it's a forced transition that's usually we've never seen before. So one of our deals is we've been selling Witness for almost a decade. We wanted to make sure that as you come back in and you have maybe a Vigilant camera that witness camera is no longer available and we need to put a Vigilant camera on a witness box, we wanted to make sure that that was easy. We also wanted you to be able to take witness cameras and put on Vigilant box and just plug them in and go. And so, you know, we really want to demo this a few different times, just showing you that was a concern of ours. We wanted to check that box so that we did not leave any dealer in a lurch. And that was what we're going to demo right now. Luis?
All right. So yeah, just like Robbie said, it's a pretty simple process to get your witness cameras over to the Vigilant unit. There's really no difference on what you have to do even if you're going from, you know, witness camera to a new witness box. You would have to, you know, make sure the camera is in a default state before you plug it into that witness box in order for it to kind of initiate that plug and play sequence. So this is the same process here. Obviously, you have two options. If you need to default a camera, you can obviously hit the reset button on the camera. Usually that's not a very popular option with you guys, mainly because you have to get on ladders, etc. So you can use the config tool, or if you do know the password to the camera, you can use the config tool just to go ahead and default that camera. And that's what I'm going to do here today. So this camera, for instance, does have that 254.3 address, which is kind of similar, which is the internal NIC of a witness unit. So basically, let's say we just pulled this camera right off a witness unit, plugged it into a PoE switch, and now we have access to this camera here. We're just going to hit the add option here, type in the password to the camera. All right, you'll notice that it does populate on the top portion of this tool here. And when the camera is on the top here, you do have all these other options available. A lot of cool features, but today we're going to go to system configuration. And there's going to be a restore option right here. It's going to give you an option for part restoration or complete. You want to make sure to choose complete here. That will default the camera, including the password, etc. So we'll hit OK here. And the tool is going to work for a second. The camera will reboot also while the tool is while it does, you know, go to the default settings. The camera is going to reboot as well, so it may take a second here for it to reboot. But like I said, this is the same process as going from a witness camera. I mean, a current witness camera to a new witness unit. You would have to default the camera in general. So I'm just going to wait for this to complete up.
And while he's doing that, you know, if you guys are not sure the IP camera's password, if it's still connected to the recorder, there's a way to show password for the IP cameras. That way you don't have to, you know, not saying reset it, but, you know, doing a password reset through our tech team, it kind of takes a little bit of time. So there is a section where we could help you guys navigate to show you where that is. So if you need any help, our tech support team would be able to help you retrieve those passwords as well.
And we'd also like to iterate or reiterate, we have one more webinar coming up in 2 weeks that is solely tech focused, whereas this one is primarily sales focused and how positioning it and how it's different from witness and the interoperability. That said, on our next one, we're going to be doing several deep dives on setup, configuration, and all of that.
Yeah, P2P.
So this seems to be taking a little bit longer than usual. I might have to close this app out here. Give me one second.
And to Robbie's point, the session in 2 weeks, I think it's on the 23rd, would be a great session for you to have your tech set. You know, if you've got technicians and installers, I would plan to have them attend that session as you guys look at bringing on a Vigilant gear and potentially integrating it with the witness out in the field.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, most of our witness cameras, you can hold, they have a hard reset button that if you didn't have the tools, you could just hold down the button, power cycle it while holding down the button for 30 seconds, let it reboot back up, and it'll just put it in the default state, at which point then you just plug it straight into the Vigilant recorder. So there's a host of ways to get it reset or to not need to reset it. And we're going to kind of walk you through several of those iterations on the next training, along with several other things, because we really want to drive home the interoperability and setting you up for success as you go down the road with us.
Yeah. So if you're using, just to touch on Robbie's point, if it's a witness camera and you default it, or if it's brand new out of the box, it'll plug and play. If it's a high vision camera and you default it, or it's new out of the box, it'll plug and play. If you have another competitor that buys from high vision, same story. As long as it's defaulted or in a new state, it'll plug and play. So the method that Luis is showing you here is him defaulting it through the tool right now.
Yeah, so the camera is rebooting now, so it did finally go to that configured status. I'm just waiting for it to pop back up here in the tool.
Mhm.
And what we're looking for is for it to be in the inactive state. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with that option. When you plug a camera in initially to a network, it's going to be inactive. And that's what we're looking for it to say. That way we can know that when it is inactive, we can plug it directly into the Vigilant unit and it will initiate the plug and play sequence there. So,
And unlike a lot of other companies, we took time to get these CGI commands put in there so that as we make the transition, it was as easy as possible for y'all. So that's a big differentiator than everybody else in the market. Sorry, go ahead, Luis.
yeah, so as you can see, the camera did pop up here on the bottom. It does say inactive. So what I'm going to do now is connect it to the Vigilant unit. Let me go ahead and share that screen with you guys real quick, and then.
And another key call out that I'd like to mention right now is we're doing a live fire exercise. You will see a lot of companies do canned videos, and you're like, oh, that looked perfect and easy, but then in reality, it may take a couple extra minutes for it to reboot. So we're very confident in our system and it working. So we're doing live fire demos. We're going to continue that practice on into the tech training, so that you get the really real training and examples for peace of mind.
Yeah, that's a great call out, Robbie. I was going to say the same thing. I mean, this is live, man. This is not canned or recorded. So we're dealing with what we're getting from the system, and sometimes it's faster than other times. And Luis is managing through it. So
I'm doing my best. Yes.
yeah.
So as you guys can see here, this is the Vigilant unit here, the camera menu. I already do have a PTZ camera connected to this unit, just to kind of show you that this is a witness PTZ camera. So if you kind of move down to the PTZ options here, you do see that I do still have control of this camera. Even though it is a witness, I can zoom in and out. This camera also is set up for motion detection. I have that little corner set there, so I can put my hand in front of it to show you guys that it will record. So let's go to the main screen here. And you can see that little motion detection and record icon pop up in the corner there, that it does show that the motion recording is working with that witness camera on a Vigilant unit. So I did plug the camera into port number 2, the witness camera, so I'm waiting for it to initiate its plug and play sequence here.
Yeah. While he's doing that, the part that he called out was, for this portion here, we're guaranteeing, plug and play, motion, audio, PTZ controls. The thing to keep in mind that we won't be able to cross over some of those analytic features. So on the witness side, the human or vehicle detection does not work on the Vigilant recorders. The license plate searching on the witness camera does not work on the Vigilant recorder. We could pass video through, motion, audio, PTZ controls, but that's going to be where we're limited to. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. So as you can see here, that the Alibi witness camera did pop directly up on the unit. All I did was default the camera and just plug it into port number 2, and then the Vigilant recorder and the witness camera did the rest of the handshake. So you can see here it is online. And if I go actually to the main live view here, you can see both cameras are online. My PTZ option here. And this is the one I just defaulted. Yeah, it's pretty simple process. You could even use the PTZ controls in this area as well. Overall, the integration with the witness cameras from going into a Vigilant unit, it's really hardly any different than going from a witness camera, a witness unit to witness camera to a new witness unit. So exact same process, just default it, plug it in, you'll have that plug and play option.
And I'd like to make a special call out. One of our other product engineers, you know, he said if you have an LPR camera from Witness, it does still work with an SD card if you're trying to do some of those search features.
Yeah.
You know, so we do have workarounds on some of those higher level analytics, but we also want to just be really transparent, you know, so that we set you all up for success.
Yeah. Thank you, Logan, for that one, for sure.
All right, so now, Luis, are you going to do Vigilant to Witness now?
Yeah, so I'm gonna do Vigilant to
Okay,
Witness
cool.
now. I'm just kind of getting my stuff set up here, so give me about a couple minutes to get this turned on, or a minute or so.
And hopefully with this, if you guys are, as Robbie stated, replacing maybe a new recorder, the recorder goes down, you don't want to replace those cameras, you could swap out that recorder, vice versa. If you need to swap out some cameras, you could do that as well. So just making it, backwards and forwards compatible is key for us on this. And I think hopefully as you guys see the demo and then, the videos that we made, it shows you how easy it is to edit any of these cameras or to get any of them to work on our boxes.
And I would want to be fully transparent. If you start looking at cameras from like 8 years ago, right? So you're trying to make cameras that their ONVIF wasn't written very well, and the motion didn't work very well 8 or 10 years ago. That'll carry over, and it's a great opportunity for you to sell new cameras. One of the things that we really do well is we design our units. For example, our Osram IRs, those German-designed IRs, are meant to last 10 years. But, the software improvements and the algorithm improvements from 10 years ago to today are literally night and day. So if you were to take one of our original IPV Witness cameras, well, that motion didn't work very well 10 years ago. It was pretty rudimentary. You plug it into the unit, yeah, it'll work. But I would probably suggest if, it's 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, you start using that as a sell-up opportunity because of just the improvements in imagers and the improvement and the standardization of some of the analytics. It'll serve you well. Anyway, go ahead, Luis.
Yeah, I'm just about ready here. Let me share my screen. All right, so if you do have a current Witness unit in play and you did order, a couple Vigilant cameras or you received some Vigilant cameras, it's still possible to get those cameras to plug directly into the back of the unit just with a couple steps. So it's not going to be a direct plug and play, but what we need to do is just configure these cameras to be on the same subnet as the internal NIC of the Witness unit, and that will allow us to plug them into the back of the Alibi Witness unit. And also, I believe there is a pre-configured SKU. Robbie, I don't know if you want to go over that real quick.
Oh, for sure. Just so y'all know, we took the CGI commands and we're able to put them in the Vigilant recorder. Due to the chip limitations and the availability of the Witness, we weren't able to just retroactively put in the CGI commands. So to make it easy, if you're selling Vigilant cameras and you want to put it on a Witness recorder, just tell your sales rep. He'll put in, we have a non-costing SKU that allows it to run through our OIC department, our configurations department, and they'll put it on the subnet so that it plugs and plays. So, so you plug it in and then all you have to do is input the credential and it comes on. So he's going to demonstrate that in case you have one out in the field. But if you're buying new and it's going on a Witness retrofit, you just need to let us know.
Yeah. So basically, with the pre-configured SKU, these are the steps that our integration team they're going to take in order to convert these cameras over. So basically, here I could just select both of these cameras. Hold on a second here. I'll select both of these cameras here, and since these cameras are brand new out of the box, right? So they have a default password of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's kind of across the board with our Vigilant line. This tool automatically has that integrated automatically into the tool. So you don't really have to log into it or anything like that. All you need to do is hit the modify IP option, and it will pull up a dialog box that gives you the option to kind of create a range of IPs and where you want it to go. So with the Alibi Witness recorders, the internal IP gateway is 192.168.254.1. So typically, if you plug a camera into there, it kind of pulls a 254.2, 3, and so forth. So we're going to put these cameras over to the 254 subnet. And we recommend using starting around 30, mainly because some of our witness recorders do have 24 ports on them. So we want to kind of stay away from those general, 2 to 24, 2 to 25. So you notice that it says it does do .30 through 31 because there's 2 cameras here. It automatically puts the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 password here. So we'll just hit OK. And it does change both of those cameras over to 254.30 and 254.31. So at this point, these cameras are ready to connect in. They're ready to connect into the recorder, but we need to do a little bit of modification on the recorder itself. So let me go ahead and share that screen real quick.
Yeah, if you guys saw, if you had, say, 50 cameras to modify, the tool would do it for you automatically with addressing those IP for you automatically. So it makes it very quick and easy. The tool he's showing is the Vigilant tool.
So this is the Alibi witness recorder here. I'm just going to go to the camera section. As you can see here, there's nothing plugged in here. All we need to do is make sure these addresses are kind of coinciding with the camera. So what we'll do here under number 1 here is we'll hit the edit option, we'll switch it to manual, and we'll change this to 30. When a protocol, you want to make sure it says OnVIF, and then type in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as the password. All right, we'll hit OK there. And then we're going to go ahead and edit number 2. Switch that to manual, OnVIF.
And if you guys use that Pro Serve SKU that Robbie mentioned earlier, pretty much we're addressing the camera and labeling the password for you. So when you receive that product on the outside of the box, it'll have the IP address already pre-configured with that password. So all you have to do is do exactly what you see Luis is doing here right now.
So we'll refresh, let this refresh, and we'll see those. Should pop up here. And while that's working, I'm gonna go ahead and unplug these cameras from the switch and plug them into the witness recorder on channels 1 and 2.
So what he did was he configured them, the 2 Vigilant cameras on a switch. He's unplugging them, and now he's plugging them to the back of the recorder. And you'll see the first 2 channels change here shortly.
Yeah, so the recorder obviously will power the camera, so there's no need for an external power or anything like that. The first camera came online quick because I do have it connected to a 12-volt power adapter. It is a wireless camera. But the second one's going to take a little bit longer because it is going to use the PoE from the back of the unit to connect. So if we go to the live view here, you'll see that one of the cameras is online there. And you do have the same options here. You can add motion detection, etc., to these cameras. So
you can see it's pretty easy to get a Vigilant camera on the box. You can see the picture quality even through the video stream. It's very, very crisp.
So we're just going to give this a little bit of time here. Typically it takes 30 seconds to a minute. But like I said, you can, also set up under the event tab here. If you wanted to set up your motion detection, you can do that. We'll just go ahead and apply that. And I think I did see that other camera pop up here. So both cameras are now online. So overall, just a few steps to get those Vigilant cameras over to a witness unit, right? But if you use the pre-configuration SKU, all you'll really have to do is take the information on the camera box and input it in here in the camera menu of the witness unit, and those cameras will pop right up when you plug them into those coinciding ports. So overall, I think the product managers and everybody involved has done a great job on getting the integration between witness and Vigilant both ways, from cameras to recorders. They've done a really good job in making it as easy as possible and as seamless as possible. So.
Yeah, so as Luis demonstrated, super easy, doesn't take a lot of time. We did spend some time waiting for the cameras to pop up or cameras to reset. That was kind of the longest part of the process. But to Robbie's point, if you're going to be buying new Vigilant cameras and putting it on witness recorders, make sure you call that out to your account manager. They can put a SKU on that order. It'll go through our OIC. They will set up those cameras so they will plug and play whenever you get those on to your office or onto the job site onto that witness recorder. Okay, our goal is always to make sure we're thinking through the challenges and obstacles you may be experiencing out in the field, and then trying to overcome those so we're making your job easier. Okay.
And also, like the if you guys have any questions about any of this stuff or running into any trouble, our support team has been trained and they're really ready to kind of support you in this whole transition. So if you guys have any questions, definitely call the support team and they will walk you through this process if you're kind of confused or you have any questions about it. So
yeah, you bet. And then beyond technical support, Luis is our video guy, right? He's working with the sales team, with the PMs. We're prioritizing what videos are most important and what we're going to attack to give you guys the resources and tools you need in order to be successful out there. So if you haven't been out to the Alibi Security YouTube channel and subscribed, I highly recommend you do that. We have a whole playlist on Alibi Vigilant, how-to videos, reviews of the product line, just tons of resources to really break down everything from live view to P2P setup. And also the steps that Luis just went through. There's also videos that reiterate that. So if your techs are on site and they're having problems remembering the steps, they can easily go out on their phone or mobile device and view those videos. Additionally, Robbie, he's super knowledgeable about all the product lines, right? He deals with our dealer partners every day, and he's always helping them go from witness to vigilant, right? Okay, if I used to buy this witness camera, what vigilant camera do I need? Well, we've also tried to put together an easy to reference, cross-reference matrix for you guys. We're actually in the process of updating that right now. Later on today, that should be available out on the Alibi Security website, alibisecurity.com/alibi-vigilant. That will make it easy to go, hey, if I normally bought the NS2114, what do I buy now for a corresponding vigilant camera, right? He's put together this matrix to help make it easier for you guys to make this transition. Let's see here. I think we've done a really, really good job of answering the Q&A. Thanks, Robbie and PMs for answering questions along the way. So there aren't any more Q&A outwardly that we need to answer right now. But more importantly, if you need more information, if you don't find what you need on YouTube, if you don't find what you need on the website, call your dedicated account manager. That's what they're there for. They're for pre and post sales support. And this is one of the key things that they are focused on right now, is helping our dealer partners make the transition from Alibi Witness to Alibi Vigilant, and more importantly, servicing those customers that have Alibi Witness gear out there and making sure that Vigilant works on it. Okay. Robbie, do you want to add anything else?
I just had a question being asked by Adam Gregory. Being new to the solutions, what would you recommend for training our sales reps and technicians? How I would answer that is more of a multi-pronged approach. First, we record these webinars, this is a 3-part series about Vigilant. I would recommend they're on our YouTube channel. I'd recommend them watching those webinars. I would also recommend them going to the videos like Chris mentioned, where we have several 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-minute videos that are very articulate and direct to every kind of question we normally get asked with Alibi Vigilant. After that, I would contact your sales account manager and then set up a time for us to do with your whole company on Zoom. We can do a sales training, and then we have a secondary deck that we do tech training. So that way we can get your guys on more of a one-on-one basis to ask questions that you may have missed or didn't understand from either the recorded webinar, live webinars, or the videos. And then we can knock down any other barriers or questions that you have, especially if you're moving from, let's say, a non-Alibi solution to us. So that's how I would answer your question.
Thanks again to the PMs, our product management team, and Luis make us look super smart here at Alibi. So it's always good to have those guys online. Robbie, thank you. You're front line with the dealer partners. You understand their concerns. You're instrumental in helping them make this transition. More importantly, we're going to continue to provide content that we hope is useful during this time as we're transitioning lines and helping you guys make the transitions and servicing your customers so you're successful out there in the field. Go out to our continuing education tab down at the bottom of the website. It's at the very bottom. Look for continuing education. We should have a link there later on this morning for our next webinar session, which is going to be technical in nature. If you have technicians or installers that are going to be out in the field working on Vigilant gear, you want to make sure that they attend that, right? And if not, you need to attend it and make sure that you share that link after we post it with that team. So we're super excited to provide more technical information. Make sure you guys get signed up, and we'll see you next time on the Alibi webinar series. Thanks again, everybody.